Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Now, we've all heard about colonialism, right? Its impacts, the historical injustices that have been shaped in our world. But sometimes we get a rare moment that reflects the past in sharp focus. Now, in a recent viral interview, Mike Harris, an 86-year-old third-generation British settler in Kenya, sat down with a Kenyan journalist and made a stunning admission, which is his family received 10 acres of land for free during the colonial period. Now, listening to Mike Harris reflect on his dark chapter in history stirred up emotions that were honestly difficult to put into words, because this isn't just about one family. This is about an entire system built on the theft of land, forced labor, and systemic inequality that still lingers today. Mike Harris, whose family has been in Kenya for over centuries, is the son of Bob Harris, who was a powerful figure among the British settlers in Kenya. Now, he admits with some regret that his ancestors benefited from policies that systemically robbed Kenyans of their land and their livelihoods. Let's have a look at this video.
My grandfather acquired a 5,000-acre block, and his eldest son-in-law got a 5,000 block over there. Mm-hmm. So in 1904, for a very short time, between the two men, we owned 10,000 acres. Now, you've just driven down a lovely tarmac road to get here.
Yes.
That tarmac road was the boundary between those two 5,000-acre blocks.
And you paid completely nothing for it, just the surveyor's fee.
Yes, I believe that is true. Let's be honest. It was a fight for survival on both sides. We wanted to keep our land, but quite a lot of that land had been acquired illegally or through coercion, through force, and that had to be accounted for. What we were portrayed was that the Mau Mau were very violent, and that was true. Okay, one of the things in warfare, you try to denigrate the enemy. You remember in Rwanda they talked about the enemy as cockroaches. Do you remember that? To try and make it that if you killed them, it wasn't an issue. You're just we don't, where's the aerosol can? You're just spraying cockroaches. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so what I do remember as a child is that they produced horror books. So you would get a publication of 10 or 15 pages, quite big, with nothing but atrocities of people that have been chopped up by the Mau Mau. So people, heads cut off, animals, legs cut off, children murdered in their beds, and this was thrown at us. The violence on both sides has to be acknowledged. We can't go back 120 years and change history. So what we've got to do, we've got to take responsibility. I couldn't change what my father and his people did, but at least I can go to somebody and say, Paul Asana, I want you to forgive me for what they did.
Mike, I think part of your apology should be give back this land. It's almost 5,000 acres thereabout, being owned by one person in a country where majority of the people don't even own a plot. Have you had to have that conversation and asked yourself, I'm sitting in this large chunk of land that we paid no penny for, should we give it back, or what do we do with it? And what do you think is the right thing to do?
Now, hearing him speak is actually something I can deeply relate to as a South African. I mean, in our own country, the history of land disposition is written in blood through apartheid, through colonialism, and through centuries of violent policies that stripped us of not only our land, but our dignity. I mean, just like Kenya, we were made to serve the interests of the colonial powers. We were denied access to the land that was rightfully ours, and it was handed over, often for next to nothing, to settlers who came to benefit from it. And families were displaced, pushed off in the ancestral land and moved into less fertile land. And those who remained actually had to work as laborers for the settlers, which was a colonial tool that tied Africans to the land, and not as owners, but as slaves to the colonial economy. Now, I can't help but feel this deep sense of injustice when I hear about this. But there's something even more striking here. Mike Harris, now a reverend, doesn't try to minimize the situation. Now, he acknowledges the acts committed by his ancestors and actually expresses genuine regret for the wrongs that were done. The admission, while coming from a place of privilege, is actually quite rare. It's not often that the descendants of colonial settlers openly reflect on the suffering that their families caused. And this is where I believe the conversation must go, which is beyond acknowledgement and into action. And this brings me to the question, right? How do we, as Africans, move forward from this history? How do we reckon with the systemic inequalities that continue to hold us back? I mean, we need more than just apologies. We need concrete actions that address the structural inequalities born out of colonialism. And Mike Harris's apology, while heartfelt, cannot erase the centuries of harm honestly caused by colonial land theft. But it can be part of a broader process of reconciliation, one where we ask hard questions about giving back what was unjustly taken. And in Kenya, like other African countries, despite independence, the issue of land remains one of the most critical and unresolved legacies of colonialism. And I can't help but wonder how many others in Kenya, South Africa, or elsewhere will actually follow suit. How many more will have the courage to admit their family's role in perpetuating the system or colonialism? And how many will take meaningful action to right these wrongs? For many of us, these are not abstract concepts. The pain of colonialization is real, and the economic and social structures it created continue to affect millions of African people today. It's not just about land. It's about power, about wealth, about opportunity. The legacy of colonialism is complex and painful. I mean, it has shaped the societies we live in, and it continues to shape our futures. But the question remains, what are we going to do about it? Is an apology enough? Or do we need to move towards a future where the wrongs of the past are actively corrected? Now, Mike Harris's apology may not heal the wounds of the past, but it does give us an opportunity to have an honest conversation about the legacy of colonialism and the importance of actually addressing land injustices. And this conversation, though uncomfortable, I believe is long overdue. What do you think? Let's continue the conversation in the comment section. We really want to hear from you. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till we meet again, it is goodbye for now.